No witches were harmed in the making of this episode. Human beings just like you and me with hopes, dreams, and feelings were horribly...
TLDR. This episode is filled with murder and mayhem. So let's get to the murder.
Woe to you of earth and sea.
Welcome to Satan is My Superhero.
A show for ideas.
No, let's get to THA murder. Motherfucker.
In this true crime special episode, we delve into the sickening tale of one of the UK's most successful serial killers. Mathew Hopkins, the self-proclaimed
Witchfinder General.
What a wanker.
Between 1644 and 1646, Hopkins may have murdered as many as 300 people. Hopkins is a fascinating individual, and hundreds of historians have written thousands of pages about him. So you would expect this will be a fact-heavy episode, just brimming with facts. We know virtually nothing about Mathew Hopkins. What we have is a biography pieced together from circumstantial evidence and assumptions.
That's more than we have for Jesus.
Hopkins may have been the son of a Puritan minister, James Hopkins.
I'm going to be just like you when I grow up, Daddy. I'm going to crush people's dreams, destroy their lives, and lie to them about a magical hate-filled sky fairy for money.
Hopkins may have been a lawyer. The pamphlet,
The Discovery of Witches,
Hopkins published in 1647, does have the vibe of something written by a lawyer.
I understand the accused has chosen to defend himself. Is this correct, Mr. Hopkins?
Yes, Your Honour.
Okay, you may proceed.
Your Honour, I'd like to call my first witness, my client, Mathew Hopkins. Mr. Hopkins, is it true that you are just too damn good-looking to be on trial here today? Objection, Your Honour. Leading the witness.
I hate my life.
And now for a word from this week's sponsor, Thrones of Decay, the debut album from Graves Hollow.
Hey, did you hear that the debut album from Graves Hollow just came out?
I'm not entirely sure who that is.
Oh, I figured as much. Anyway, I was able to get my hands on it early, so I had it sent here, and it should be arriving at any moment.
Oh, that's cool. I still have no idea who they are. Wait, is that a flatbed? Why is there a giant flatbed pulling up to my house?
Yeah.
No, why is there a flatbed? What the fuck is that?
It's the album.
Why did you need a flatbed to deliver one copy of the album?
Because it's heavy. Duh.
It's a piece of paper with a Bandcamp URL.
What? Fuck!
You had a flatbed deliver you a piece of paper that tells you what website to go to then download the album. How much was the album?
It was $5.
How much was shipping?
I had to sell some things, and I might need to crash here for a bit.
Go to graveshollow.bandcamp.com.
Let's get to the witch hunting, because of course, let us not forget, it is...
Spooky Month Special.
It's witches, bitches!
In
The Discovery of Witches,
Hopkins describes his first foray into the field of murdering innocent people for imaginary reasons. A coven of witches living in Manningtree were meeting every 6 weeks and
had their solemn sacrifices there offered to the devil.
Armed with his copy of
Demonology in Form of a Dialogue, divided into 3 books, by the High and Mighty Prince James and Company,
that we discussed in the Witches of Shakespeare episodes, the possibly 24-year-old Hopkins assigned himself the position
Witchfinder General.
And got to work convincing an angry mob to murder said coven.
What gives you the right to name yourself Witchfinder General and start arresting people?
I'm a white man.
It seems Hopkins was able to deputise himself and convince locals he had the authority to murder people because at the time England was engulfed in the chaos and turmoil of civil war.
Down with the tyrannical monarchy!
Down with the tyrannical monarchy!
Replace it with a theocratic oligarchy bent on othering and persecuting minorities. By convincing the majority, they are the ones who are threatened.
Replace it with a theocratic oligarchy bent on othering.
Maybe we shouldn't do the second verse. The meter is all wrong.
Yeah, it's the meter that's the problem.
By the end of his very first week in the highly specialised and criminally under-regulated profession of
Witchfinder General,
Hopkins had 5 people in custody who were helping him with his inquiries.
Admit it, you're a witch. Admit it, 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 admit it.
This first foray into the incredibly satisfying profession of witch hunting would turn into what history has dubbed the Chelmsford Witch Trials. By the end of these trials, 29 human beings were hanged. By anyone's measure, that's impressive for a 24-year-old's first day on the job. By strange coincidence, 29 people died my first day on the job as well.
Someone get that bloody idiot off the forklift!
Because killjoy lawmakers frowned upon torture, Hopkins had to keep his methods within certain, hard-to-confirm or deny parameters.
And we all know what that means.
We know he used sleep deprivation and something called walking. This is exactly what it sounds like. The sleep-deprived victim would be made to walk around their cell in bare feet on an often stone floor. When they collapsed from exhaustion, they would be dragged around with their feet scraping on the ground.
I say, Mathew, I'm having a moral dilemma. Do you really believe there's any validity in a forced confession? I mean, sooner or later, the victim, the accused, is just telling you what you want to hear.
Yes, that's right. I want them to tell me what I want to hear.
But that is no way a search for truth.
Search for the truth? I'm sorry, but did you just start being a Christian yesterday?
Hopkins was also a proponent of the tried-and-true method of witch detection known as swimming. The accused would be hogtied and lowered into a body of water. If they sank, they were innocent. If they floated, they were a witch. Contrary to popular belief, the innocent people were pulled out of the water before drowning. Most of the time. A lot of the time. Some of the time.
Preacher, I think my smartphone is possessed.
Don't worry about a thing.
Did you just drop my phone into a bucket of water?
Yes.
Witchfinder General.
Wouldn't be much of a general without an army. His second-in-command was a snivelling little shit called John Stearne.
If there really was an interventionist god, I would burst into flames.
The rest of his elite squad was made up with an Edward Parsley, a Francis Mills, and Mary Phillips, who could spot a devil's mark at 50 paces with one eye tied behind her back.
There's a devil's mark right there.
That's a plate of bacon and eggs.
A devil's mark was any kind of blemish on the skin that the witch hunters could point to and claim Satan had touched that person.
These days I just use a blue check mark.
It was believed the mark was the place where the devil and all the witch's familiars would suck blood from the witch.
Gross.
The very latest scientific theory at the time said that devil's marks were impervious to attack.
How about now?
Devil's mark.
How about now?
Devil's mark.
How about now?
Devil's mark. Idiot.
How about now?
Yeah, that was one of the soft. That's smart. That really smart.
On at least one occasion, a woman was stripped naked and intently examined, but no devil's marks were found.
This is damned inconvenient.
Well, what's a good Christian to do when the words they used in a previous sentence don't suit the situation they're in now?
We couldn't find the mark of the devil, but we really want to kill this bitch.
No worries. I'll just go out and say a bunch of words contradicting my infallible witch detection techniques. And then we'll brutally murder the defenseless lonely old woman.
Wow, you're an amazing Christian.
I know, right? I was going to be an apologist, but I'm not dishonest or evil enough.
Accounts differ, but some sources repeat the claim Hopkins and his crew of witch prickers charged 20 shillings per town.
I would do it for free, but then there'd be no hiding what a psychopath I really am.
Some claim he was paid for each confession, but surely that can't be right. Like, no one's that stupid.
I need a loan to set up my witch hunting business.
Okay, what's your business plan?
I travel from town to town, identify loners and outsiders, accuse them of witchcraft, force a confession, and then profit.
The financial incentive is to gain a confession every single time. You won't be seen as credible. No one will pay you.
What part of loners and outsiders don't you understand?
How much do you need?
There is a record of one town paying Hopkins £28 for his services. This works out to roughly 4 years' worth of wages for a day labourer at the time.
It's nice work if you can get it.
Hopkins and his band travelled from town to town murdering with reckless abandon. Where were the reasonable, moderate, level-headed Christian leaders at this time, I hear you ask?
Father, religious extremists are butchering the people in the name of Christ and misrepresenting our Lord and Saviour. It is up to us to speak out and unconditionally disavow our religion from these bigots.
You raise some excellent points. I certainly agree with you in spirit, but hear me out. How about we simply remain quiet and let these psychopaths have their moment? They'll burn themselves out and it will all come to an ugly end. But while that happens, they'll move the Overton window in a direction that will most benefit us in the long run.
If you'd like to do something to help reverse the current direction of the Overton window, please give this podcast a 5-star rating. If you're like me and don't know what the Overton window is, give the podcast a 5-star rating and feel good about yourself for reasons you don't understand.
There is no reason to believe giving this podcast a 5-star rating will have any effect on the Overton window. In fact, it's downright delusional. But giving this podcast a 5-star rating will probably make you feel good about yourself. So, that's nice.
In 1646, the vicar of Great Stoughton heard Hopkins was planning a visit and did what the very first vicar who ever heard of Hopkins should have done, and acted to defend his flock.
I've had a sudden impulse to do the right thing. This must be what it's like to not be a Christian.
The vicar in question, John Gaule, preached against Hopkins to his congregation. These sermons were later published, but I'm going to make up what I think he should have said then and needs to be said now in 2023 as we head into 2024.
My fellow Christians, for 2,000 years we have obsessed about devils and demons. Our good book explicitly describes that these demons seek power. What lies they will tell to get that power, and exactly how orange their skin will be. And yet, every single time one of these demons appears in our midst, we Christians fall over each other trying to perform fellatio on them.
Quick question, Vicar. Could you warn us before one of the maleficent serpent-tongued, orange-skinned charlatans come to town? I'll need to get my hair done.
So Hopkins heard Gaule was preaching against him, and he wrote a letter to the leaders of the town stating he would love to come to Great Stoughton and
search for evil-disposed persons called witches, though I hear your minister is far against us through ignorance.
Hopkins then said,
I have known a minister in Suffolk preach as much against their discovery in a pulpit and forced to recant it by the committee in the same place.
What minister in Suffolk is Hopkins talking about? Previously, 80-year-old vicar John Lowes had also stood against Hopkins and had been arrested, swum in the castle moat, kept awake and walked for 3 days until he was delirious and babbling gobbledygook.
That ye love one another as I have loved you.
He speaks in evil riddles.
Yeah, as a Christian I can 100% testify I have never heard or read anything so nonsensical. He must be a witch.
The 80-year-old vicar was denied any pastoral care and was heard reciting his own burial rites to himself while being led to the gallows.
The Lord bless me and keep me, the Lord make
Oh, it's so sad when they hang the old feeble ones, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Did you bring any snacks?
So when the evil little shit Hopkins mentioned that
minister in Suffolk,
that was a direct and unambiguous threat against the life of Gaule. I like to think Gaule's first response was,
bring it, bitch.
Whatever Gaule's initial response, one thing is clear. He was not intimidated, and wrote to the parliamentary government in London demanding support and an investigation into the so-called
Witchfinder General.
He also published those sermons against Hopkins and alluded to the idea that maybe Hopkins was so good at finding witches because he was one himself.
No, you are.
Now, obviously, I feel it goes without saying. A strong, brave, powerful alpha male type individual like Hopkins, filled not just with the presence, but the essence of Yahweh himself, would not stand for such effrontery. Well, at the very first threat of being witch-hunted himself, Hopkins retired from the business immediately and never did it again.
I can't run fast enough with my tail between my legs. And the diarrhea's not helping either.
From whatever rock the slimy little shit went and hid, Hopkins wrote a letter to
the judges of assize for the county of Norfolk.
This letter was published as the aforementioned pamphlet,
The Discovery of Witches.
In this document, Hopkins makes 14 accusations against himself and answers each of them for the judges. No doubt inspired by Gaule and the constant nightmares of an angry mob smashing down his door, the first accusation he makes is that he himself could be a witch. He gives a simple one-verse from the Bible answer to this most serious of accusations.
If Satan's kingdom be divided against itself, how shall it stand?
That's not a no.
His second accusation against himself was the rumour he had stolen Satan's address book, and that's how he was able to track down witches. He replies to this in the third person.
If he had been too hard for the devil and got his book, it had been to his great commendation and no disgrace at all.
That's right. This boastful, prideful blowhard was not going to give up the legend that he had bested the devil.
I just stole the devil's address book. I'm going to use it to prank call Kenneth Copeland.
He then asks himself to explain where his skill comes from, and he replies to himself that it is not from possessing any supernatural power or book learning, but from experience.
I do my own research.
He then asks himself about the validity of witches' marks and his ability to discern them from natural blemishes. His paragraphs of answers can be whittled down to...
Do too have the ability.
He then wonders out loud why the devil would need to suck blood from a witch. Surely the devil is a spirit and has no physical body to nourish.
Oh, we're kink-shaming now. Okay.
Hopkins agrees. The devil does not need the blood, but does it to confirm the witch's allegiance and damnation.
Now we share a bond that cannot be broken.
Yeah, it's called hepatitis.
He then asks himself about his methods of gaining confession. Did he use sleep deprivation? And did he use walking? In both cases, he admits he did when he first started out, but only because the magistrates in those early cases wanted it.
I didn't torture anyone with sleep deprivation and walking. I used enhanced interrogation techniques, which were sleep deprivation and walking.
He then asks himself if he used swimming to gain a confession. To this, he happily confesses and quotes,
Demonology in form of a dialogue, divided into 3 books, by the High and Mighty Prince James and Company,
where the practice is encouraged. Then, like Hopkins is some kind of liar or something, he claims the results of the swimming tests were never used in actual trials against the witches.
Tell me, prosecutor, did the accused float or sink?
I can't say, Your Honour.
I'm sorry, does the wink mean they floated?
I can't say, Your Honour.
He then makes the accusation against himself that after days of the horrible tortures which remember never happened, according to him, he would finally get the confession by promising clemency. He answers this by saying,
Yes, that's absolutely how this whole game works.
No, he didn't say that.
How disappointing.
He not only denied coercing confessions this way, but he also goes on to explain how, on the occasions he realised the person confessing was actually suffering a mental illness or caught in some kind of delusion and made claims of grand supernatural powers, he would reject their confession.
That's bullshit.
Side note, there are numerous accounts of people travelling miles on their own volition to hand themselves over for witchcraft trials.
I'm a witch and demand to be hanged.
You're ruining the whole experience. It's no fun if you want it.
I also shot JFK.
Hopkins then asks himself the obvious question that, if he's not torturing people, how is he obtaining these confessions?
I predict his answer will be a lie.
Yes, he simply lies and claims that isolating the witch for a few days in a locked room where no one can see what you're doing, where you're not doing nothing to them, the guilt over their betrayal of Yahweh will eventually drive a confession out of them.
So, how does this work? Do you guys have, thumb screws, or do you do that thing with the metal tongs where you...
No, we're just going to sit here and do normie stuff, talk about the weather. I'll tell you boring stories about my day. At some point, I'll show you pictures of my family.
F***ing hang me now for...
Hopkins then walks right off the deep end of Christian cell phones and stupidly asks the question, how did the devil and some crazy old lady have the magical powers to kill a person right under Yahweh's nose without even touching them?
Oh, this will be interesting.
Hopkins gives us a convoluted explanation that having lived among us for 6,000 years, Satan has become an expert in human physiology and can tell when someone is close to death.
Expert in human physiology? I still can't figure out why you don't have tails.
According to the
Witchfinder General.
The devil then approaches a neighbour or associate of a person who's about to die and tells them that person is about to report them for conspiring with the devil. But if they conspire with the devil right now, he will murder the person who, which remember the devil will forget a sec, he will murder the person and eliminate the threat. The so-called witch agrees. The person dies because they were always going to die anyway. The devil takes the credit and the rest is history.
In a nutshell.
Witchfinder General.
Mathew Hopkins, in his only published work, his magnum opus, if you will, admits the devil has no actual abilities in this realm.
So he didn't lie about everything then.
Hurtful.
Hopkins' 14th and final accusation against himself is he was just in it for the money. Here is where we get the claim Hopkins charged a meagre 20 shillings per town. So because it's written here by Hopkins himself, I can absolutely, conclusively, concretely, without any fear of ever being contradicted, state categorically, that's a lie.
I was lying.
Not long after the publication of
The Discovery of Witches,
Hopkins probably died in his home at Manningtree. We have a 1647 burial notice from a town near Manningtree naming a Mathew Hopkins, son of a minister James Hopkins, and in 1648 Stearne published his own pamphlet,
A Confirmation and Discovery of Witchcraft.
Witchcraft is totally a real thing. Please don't torture me to death like I done to all those innocent people. I mean, witches, all those totally legit witches. Praise Jesus, who's totes real.
In Stearne's pamphlet, he claims Hopkins died after a long battle with consumption.
It is true, dear reader, that in the winter of 1647, Witchfinder General Mathew Hopkins met his bitter end, coughing up bits and pieces of his own lungs for weeks on end. In my medical opinion, it is because he did not support Satan is My Superhero on Patreon, where he could have enjoyed the benefits of bonus material and peace of mind knowing he was contributing to the podcast. My advice to you, dear reader, don't hang witches and go to satanismysuperhero.com to support the show.
What can we take away from Mathew Hopkins? Christianity did not become filled with psychopaths due to a series of unfortunate events. Christianity doesn't accidentally have a history of persecuting non-believers, crusades, inquisitions, witch trials, and genocides. Christianity isn't accidentally almost exclusively a club for pedophiles, psychopaths, rapists, racists, murderers, con artists, and liars. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And that's why Satan is my superhero. If you've enjoyed this episode, rate, review, subscribe, you know the deal. But please do go check out the website, satanismysuperhero.com, where you will find links to the merch store, our Patreon page, and all our social medias. And don't forget, go to graveshollow.bandcamp.com and check out Thrones of Decay from Graves Hollow. Not to big note myself too much, but the boys actually sent me an advanced copy, so I've had it in my earbuds for about a month now, and you know what? It's so heavy I think I put on weight. Yeah. Graves Hollow, Thrones of Decay, Bandcamp. Get it now!